Power comes from more than just big trucks. Welcome to the Cinegration Station with your conductors Ryan and AJ. Today the discussion is clean power for your home and business with special guest Mark and Michael from CET. So tune in now here on the Cinegration Station.
Welcome to the Cinegration Station. This is your conductor Ryan.
My name's AJ.
And we have some special guests, Mark and Michael. Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. Mark and Michael, last names?
No, we prefer not. No.
Oh, no, you don't have any? Okay.
Ayub and Pisarcik, respectively.
Yeah.
Great. With CET, and we're at the CET Experience Center. We're excited to have this meeting. It's been long overdue that we've really had a deep dive in power and the systems that go along with it. I want to hand it to you guys to maybe make a quick introduction and tell us a little bit about yourself and the experience you have.
I mean, how far back you want to go?
Let's
Ryan?
keep the cliff notes.
Let's do
we'll do the cliff notes. We want to know stuff.
Oh, okay. So I've been in the integrator world since about 2001, started in New York.
Okay.
Moved out here to Colorado in 2011 and did everything from wiring houses in the middle of the winter all the way to programming and project management and design. Roughly speaking, 2016, I moved over to CET and Associates, working with Lutron and design and project management, and then as of 2018, transitioned over to the energy side of things, where I started focusing purely on energy solutions and battery backup.
And the integrator perspective of getting into it, it's already like you're looking for the problems to identify, like you already know what to look for. So that is a great background to have, especially getting into energy. Michael, how about yourself?
Yeah, I started pulling orders in an electrical distribution warehouse in the 90s and built my career through electrical distribution, project management, things like that, all the way to becoming the rep when CET took over Lutron in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. I left for a while, did some other things, got some other experience, most recently data analytics, and that's when I joined back up with Mark. Mark was looking for a partner in this space, and
perfect.
We managed the whole country for some of these lines, and so it takes a little bit of data analytics and a little bit more horsepower there. So we're a good team in that sense.
Absolutely. And I've seen you both present, and it is compelling to learn about how, the discussion of a power plant is just like so pivotal to especially new construction, but it relates to really anybody in a house or building. But AJ, I'm going to hand the floor to you because I know you got a deep love for power, and it's at your own house, and I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, I do actually have a large power system at my house. I have a bunch of solar panels. I have a legacy Sonnen Ecolinks at my house, and so I've been, I've kind of gotten to learn, what it means to always have your lights on. I have this really cool event that happened late last year where we were inside our house and our lights flickered, and my wife didn't think anything of it, and then our neighbor texts us like 10 minutes later and goes, "Hey, how come your house is still totally lit up?" And we walked outside, and sure enough, yeah, we're the only house in the entire neighborhood that's fully powered, and it's like 9 o'clock at night when it happened. And during the video I was making, the lights actually turn on in my neighborhood. And it's just kind of a cool feeling to know that like all this investment into power protection and power management, it finally came to fruition.
It actually works.
It actually worked, and it worked exactly the way it was supposed to.
Only one on the block.
It's actually the least satisfying demo in the world to show a battery system because nothing happens inside the house.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
It just keeps working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and power is weird. It's a lot of times it's like an afterthought. It's a lot of times how contractors forget to pull internet wires to the house, and they're like, oh wait, the house has to have a battery. And I would say in Colorado we're a little spoiled by having fairly stable power, at least in the Denver market. Mm-hmm. It gets obviously very sporadic as you go further out. I've been recently looking at some places like down in southern Colorado and realizing just how much more important all of that is.
Rural infrastructure is very unique, especially here. Speaking of rural infrastructure and new construction, what even is a power plant, and what is that?
Power plant. What's a power plant?
What is the power plant?
No one really knows. No, it's anything that provides a path to clean, stable, reliable power in a home. And so it could be as simple as a junction box in preparation for a future battery system, or as complicated, and quite frankly not complicated, but let's say as large scale as a full home backup. And so it's really just giving consideration to the power delivery in your home in the first place, because that's, like AJ said, something that we didn't think about in the past, because it didn't matter as much as it does now.
Because like he said, we're lucky in a certain sense to have good power here. There's two problems with power, right? The delivery, is power showing up, right? Is the power out? Or you talked about it a little bit and it was hidden in your story. The power flickered for a second. That was a couple seconds of bad power, right? And the reason that we're lucky here is that even though we have a bunch of trees in the mountains, we don't have trees that go across the plains. And the areas that have a lot of trees have a lot more outage.
Totally.
The average power outage in North Carolina, 30 hours a year. Here we're about 6. So we still have a lot of power outage, but the power plans deliver a way for us to compensate for those two problems. How are we going to deliver clean, stable power even when the power's not out? And how are we going to deliver power like your house when the power goes out?
So it's like consciousness of what we need to focus on with power, but there's definitely different levels to how deep you go down that rabbit hole of how, optimal can I build my house with the most reliable, cleanest power that has reserves if I need them,
Right. The question I would ask if I were watching this as an integrator and go, okay, well, why isn't this an electrician podcast at this point, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Electrician delivers power. That's their responsibility. They will never do this. They deliver the power that's delivered from the grid, and the power delivered from the grid is bad, or they'll deliver power from a generator, and that power sometimes is even worse. So from a cleanly standpoint, right?
Yeah.
So this is 100% an integrator problem, because the stuff that you guys install into a home are the things that are most susceptible to most of these problems.
Yeah, I actually have a story about this, and this is sort of where it is kind of was our catalyst to learn more about power. Was we had a Control 4 job, and it was down south in Littleton area, and he just kept having lighting problems. He just kept scenes were just not triggering. The evening lights, it was the coach lights would not come on. It was just constant, AJ, the lights aren't working. And
Integrator problem.
Exactly. It was an integrator
It's really our problem.
And
Everything is our problem.
You touch it, you own it. If it breaks, you got to fix it.
Yeah, and we go out there. I replace the light switches. I replace the whole Control 4 system. We redo the Zigbee mesh 3 or 4 times, and finally, I'm out there and I'm watching some of his like incandescent bulbs pulse a little, and I'm like, oh, there's something weird. And we used one of those Surgex, the thing that you plug into the power, and it like tells you how much energy it's using and the
It's like
amps.
a reader over time.
And so we plugged that in, and he was getting brownouts about 4 to 5 times a day, and it was dropping to around 80 volts. And so what ended up happening was the Control 4 light switches were going into safe mode. And in safe mode, they don't turn on the Zigbee information. So this whole problem could have been avoided with a power plan.
Yep.
And it was I think we kind of like talk about power plans a bit with our customers. And what I really like to focus on is the clean power coming in. Power protection, right, with the batteries is important. But if the sine wave is ugly, or, if you got 10 volts of fluctuation,
So the thing with power quality is that we generally don't notice it until something goes wrong. And what we don't realize, like you said, 4 brownouts on average per day. I've seen worse, where the voltage incoming drops to 60 volts. But that's not something that is readily noticeable to somebody in a home. Everybody notices a power outage. It's super evident.
Sure, it sucks.
But the thing that happens more often than anything else is bad power when the grid is still up. And so, both of them are problems, but the continuation of bad power on the grid, that's just something that's going to exist forever and ever. And it's up to us to fix it.
And it'll get worse, I imagine?
Yes, potentially. Before we started, you had mentioned about like the future of the grid and where that might go.
Yeah.
My gut tells me that the grid will remain precisely as bad and as good as it is right now, well into the future.
Okay.
Because as we grow our energy needs, we will increase infrastructure just enough to meet those energy needs, just enough.
It's like a high-level band-aiding the society, pretty much.
It's literally, I mean, if you look at the grid as a whole, it's the most complicated and extraordinary machine we've ever built, and it's band-aided on a regular basis.
Sure.
It exists just barely at the limit of our requirement. And the likelihood is that it will continue to do that well into the future. It'll be bigger, it'll be stronger, but our needs will grow alongside of it, and we will keep having the same issues over and over.
And why this is an issue now is because those needs have changed, right? You could look at that in reverse and say the grid has always been just enough for us to have. And when we had those brownouts 4 times a day 40 years ago and we had no microprocessors, nobody cared.
Oh, the
right?
smart devices, yes.
But
they do need
everything
power
is
now.
a smart device
Yep.
now, right? So we could very easily say, oh, we'll lose something that you have installed. But we lose other things and we don't know why, like dishwashers.
Sure.
The dishwasher just won't turn on anymore. It's because the microprocessor got hit 4 times a day for 6 months and now it's gone. And that's why all the power in the house must be conditioned. And that's what we need to protect about it. Our needs are changing. The grid, exactly on Mark's point, will continue to meet what we need and we can supplement that with batteries. But that dirty power is going to more and more hit the products that we rely on the most.
Yeah,
So-
an incandescent
Oh, yeah.
light bulb doesn't care about bad power.
Yes.
You'll see it flicker. What really cares about the bad power are the LED bulbs. So LED lamps are rated at 10,000 hours. You go to Home Depot, you buy an
Oh, yeah,
LED
it'll
bulb.
last, dozens of lifetimes, right?
Right, yeah, something like that. But they don't. They last maybe 3 to 5 years maximum. And the reason why they don't last that long is because of bad power.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that being said, if someone is building a brand new home, what should they be thinking about, systematically? They're going to think about the exterior, the landscape. We always want to talk about the fun entertainment aspects, the security aspects. But how should they have the discussion about power with their integrator, with their electrician, or with their builder? Because I feel like it's usually very client-driven, that they are looking for this, they want this, or an integrator saying, hey, you should think about this, because that's where we're at right now. So what are those basic things that they should be thinking about, either Mark or Michael?
I mean, the first question is, do you want it to work properly? That's quite literally it.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna do a home theater. We're gonna do beautiful lighting. We're gonna do
Sure.
all this integration with all these cool touch panels and an app-based control. Would you like it to continue to operate on a regular basis?
That's pretty defining. I would think they would hope that investment works pretty damn well.
Right. That's a lot of money people spend on
Oh, yeah.
toys, fundamentally,
Sure.
and it's also a matter of comfort in a lot of respects. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or if you're not a billionaire. When you want to come home and turn the television on, you just want it to turn on. You don't want any nonsense. You don't want to have to make a phone call. You don't want to fiddle with cables. You just want the thing to operate. And from a power protection perspective, the quality of incoming power, that is the most impactful thing to the standard operation of any of these electronics. And then you can start to look at it as, how much time are they spending in this home? Is this a second, third, fourth home?
Yep.
Is it 5 days a year, 10 days a year in some of these larger homes in mountain communities or elsewhere in the country?
Sure.
Where if they built a $20 million home and they're only there 10 days a year, how much does it cost them to be in a home where their system's not operating?
That's
Lots.
Yeah, it's your time lost to what you would have hoped would have been the ideal stay in your primary or secondary residence.
And to be clear, it's not just a monetary value on the equipment itself.
Sure.
It's like you said, it's the time. It's the value of the thing that you paid for that you want to work not working at any given point. So from a question perspective, as an integrator, do you want your system to work reliably? And from a customer perspective, it's often, I don't want the lights to go out when I'm in my house because I want it to work.
Yeah.
That's
Another
the-
way to say it would be, what's the cost to be in my home per day? Again, that $20 million house, that's going to cost you $300,000 a day because you're only there 10 days a year, right?
Yeah.
But another way to think about it is, what does my house make me per year, right? We don't all have that, but we do have nice homes that, like your home, right? That you have that battery backup system, and you need that power to be on to do your job. You work out of your home, right? So what does it make me? And when you balance those things and then start to think about what those critical things you need, well, I can be in my house as long as the internet's up, my computer's working, and that fridge that has the medicine for my daughter is still running.
Sure.
I've got everything that I need. And that's the thing. What's critical to why you're using your home and how often you're going to use your home, and what's the value?
I think that's a great way to think about it, is a critical load focus. There are things the entertainment stuff's great to have on, but if you have things that are medical necessities, security systems that always need to be on, you don't have to have the most robust system. You don't have to have it, be a billionaire to do this, but you can feel conscious that your home is safe, protected, and having solid incoming power for maybe just those critical items too.
And to be sure, though, everybody's got different requirements, right?
Yeah.
I've had customers tell me that I spent $200,000 just so that way I don't miss 15 minutes of a movie, because when I come up out of my home theater and see the power's out elsewhere, I'm going to get on a plane and leave. That's ridiculous, but that's important to that customer.
Sure.
Another customer is like, hey, what's really important to me is that my meat freezer stays frozen because I'm an elk hunter. Right? There's all these different there's all variations of importance for people.
Yes.
And I think that's the important thing as anybody is looking to speak to customers in particular about a power plan, whether it's a clean power or a backup system, it's understanding what that customer is looking for and what's important to them. That's the critical thing. Let us never assume what's important to them. They're going to tell us. We just have to ask the questions.
So what brands would you like, since we've been talking about like general concepts at this point?
Yeah.
What are some of the brands, and can you guys speak to like, what kind of technology specifically and brands would be a part of this?
Yeah. So just to be clear, CET and Associates, we're an independent manufacturer's representative. So we're a sales organization that furthers the brands that we represent. We have two different categories of products, and category one is a power protection product. Power or products. And the key takeaway for anybody is that in order to have appropriate power protection, you need double conversion online UPSs. That means that you're converting the incoming AC to DC, running it through the batteries, and then converting it from DC back to AC.
It's isolated.
It's isolated.
The inside and the outside are completely electrically separate.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Any other system, line interactive UPSs, if you go to Best Buy and you buy an APC UPS, you're getting what's called line interactive. What that means is effectively it's passing the grid through until it doesn't. And those are not appropriate methods to clean power coming into a home. So from a product perspective, we offer InnoVolt, which is a device level rack mount UPS. We offer 360 Power, which is a medium format floor standing UPS that backs up a small electrical panel where all your circuits come back to. So 60 amps available for lighting, home theater, the entirety of the AV rack, security, etc. And then RoseWater, which is really the big one, which offers protection for a 200 amp panel.
Got it. So the other system would be more related to maybe the AV rack or AV components that are secondary spaces, and RoseWater would be for your entire house incoming service.
It would at least be for an entire 200 amp panel, which would allow for the backup and protection of all of the lighting, all of the AV, all of the sensitive electronics. You can bring all the displays can come back to this panel in the home, projector, etc., because it provides enough available power on a regular basis to be able to protect that much equipment. So you think about it from a small, medium, large perspective, InnoVolt, 360 Power, RoseWater. There's lots of other advantages that come as you grow in size, but that's the fundamental difference between them. They all offer that electrical isolation in a way that protects the power 100% of the time.
I really like the 360 one. If you're an integrator and you're kind of getting your toes wet and you want to kind of see what's possible, the 360 is interesting because you get a big bank of power and it's effectively a retrofit style application. So it works out quite well for integrators that are trying to I don't know if I should propose a big massive power plan. At least I can protect that theater, or at least I can protect maybe that guest bedroom that has the mother-in-law or something like that.
Right. I mean, I think it's important to recognize that we should never assume the needs of the customer based upon what we think about the customer, because on more than one occasion, I've seen a customer say to an integrator, well, why didn't you propose me the big one? Because what I really wanted was all of this stuff, not part of this stuff. And to be sure, 360 Power is an excellent solution for a lot of different things, but it's important to remember that the needs of the customer are going to dictate the size of the system.
Well, it's their home, their residence.
Right.
It's their intention. I feel like you do a disservice if you do not have all the options on the table from, not the least expensive, but the most acceptable to like the ideal presentation that you would.
And to be sure, I'm a salesperson and my job is to sell the big thing. So that's why I said that.
Oh, yeah.
Just to be sure.
Because bigger is better.
Bigger is better, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the next step in this whole category is we've talked about power protection, right? Those are the products. Now we draw a dividing line.
Okay, I'm ready for this.
The dividing line is the other stuff is not power protection, it's power delivery. And the idea here is, and our product is called BrightVault, V-A-U-L-T, because there's another one with an O-L-T and it's not the same thing. So BrightVault is an energy delivery system. It's effectively a large-scale modular battery backup system for the home, similar to what you have in your home, AJ, but on a much larger scale. So the capability of backing up effectively any size home in its entirety. And we don't have to start considering individual loads and saying to the customer, well, look, we can't do this or we can't do that. Because the system scales so large, we can back up the entire home, and through some smart energy management systems, we can then turn on or off loads appropriately, depending upon what the needs of the customer are and what the state of the grid is and the state of the batteries are. So very clear dividing line between power protection and power delivery. No power delivery system on the market that exists today is power protection. Some of them will tell you that they are, but they are not. They pass the grid through at all times, and when the grid goes away, they switch over and they deliver. When they do deliver, the power is substantially better than a generator, like Michael alluded to earlier.
Like a gas generator
you're
referring to.
Yeah, I know. If you want to talk about bad power, put a generator in and see what that does.
Yeah, I am originally from Florida, and everybody just has gas generators just right next to their house on the pad. They're like, I got it. It's ready to go. I'm like, this is going to be terrible.
Except generators don't always start.
You're right. It's like it's been there for a year, and then they go to fire it up. It's like, they didn't want the maintenance agreement or something, and it doesn't work.
My favorite story out of Florida, a couple of months old, said it was a $20 million mansion right on the coast. They built the house to withstand the strongest hurricane. It's on stilts, it's concrete, shutters, the whole nine. They've got a big generator to back up the whole home, in particular the air conditioning. And when Hurricane Ian passed over, the generator didn't start. The house was fine from the outside.
Sure, it's standing.
But because the air conditioning stopped operating,
within
48 hours, every surface in that house was covered in mold.
Oh, no.
No more dehumidification.
Nothing. And so the house was trashed. Just like that.
Holy.
Yeah, it's that's kind of a nightmare situation for that homeowner. And I think these examples, and I'm sure there's dozens and dozens we could pull, it all stems back to, do you want it to work? Like you said initially, it's even the AC, the TVs, it's your entertainment, it's your lifestyle, it's your life safety. Do you want it to work? And power plant is the critical path to making your home work.
So you were talking about the RoseWater, and I want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Does that system require maintenance?
No.
So that's one of the things I think a lot of people, when I talk to them, they go, well, how much is this going to cost me per year to manage, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this makes you have clean, reliable power. It's not a...
Even a BrightVault system on the energy delivery side of things doesn't require any maintenance. There's no moving parts inside. There's nothing to test. There's nothing to refuel or change out.
They're not lead acid batteries, correct?
Well, so the RoseWater actually is a lead acid battery.
Okay.
And the reason why, and this is true of all of the power protection products, the reason why is because they're not designed to cycle. They're designed to stay fully charged all the time until that one or two event occurs that requires them to discharge some amount. Mm-hmm. The BrightVault system is designed to cycle and utilizes lithium iron phosphate chemistry, right?
Okay.
Which is designed to do that cycling. But in any of these systems, there is no regular maintenance. The upfront cost is the cost you pay on day one, and that is the cost you pay for the running life of the system. With a RoseWater, the expected battery life actually is roughly 10 years. And it's understood as of today, and things will change, but as of today, the replacement cost for batteries on a RoseWater is about 1/10 the cost of the RoseWater. So it's actually fairly small. Mm-hmm. And then BrightVault lithium iron phosphate, it's probably 30 years before you'll ever need to replace those batteries.
Yeah, and I was in my head. I've seen, or I've seen other jobs where I've seen these racks of lead acid batteries, and they're in a tray, and there's like they're at like a slight angle because you got to let all the juices flow from all the batteries, and they have to clean it up, and ventilation, and
any energy delivery system that utilizes lead acid is going to require a lot more maintenance and replacement of those batteries because of the type of chemistry doing the particular job. So it's important to recognize that any energy delivery system, battery backup, regardless of the manufacturer, if they're not using lithium iron phosphate, bets off.
Just walk away.
Walk away. Quite frankly, there's very few manufacturers now who are still using anything other than that. But yeah,
I think the batteries are like the brain of the body. If your body was like a house, like you get solar coming in, and I wanted to just kind of get into solar too, because I think that's, people think of power like, I got solar in my house, it's perfect, we're good. It's like, what if the sun's not shining? How do you retain the power? How do you feel like you optimize the opportunity that you put all these panels on the roof? And I just feel like the battery it fully completes, or at least the need to have storage completes the full system.
When you have solar in your home, there is the electrical code states when the grid power goes off, your solar panels need to turn off. So if you believe that your solar panels are going to help you in a power outage as long as the sun is shining, you're unfortunately way incorrect.
Yeah, you said, what if the sun goes out, do I still have power? But the unfortunate part is if the grid is down and the sun is out, you are in the same position of every neighbor you have.
It's even worse.
You have batteries.
True.
The thing that will solve all of this, always, you notice it's a theme throughout all the products we have. Everything has a battery. And that's the thing that would solve this issue for you, exactly your point.
This is a critical component of all of this, right? So there are larger goals in the world that I have. We're talking about selling it to people so that way they can keep watching a movie in their home theater. But that's the
most important thing in the world,
well,
Mark.
to that person at that moment it is, and that's fine. Thank you very much. But on a larger scale, the only thing that solves our energy issues, whether it's the grid instability, whether it's growth over time, and for that matter, decarbonization of the grid, which is super critical, the only thing that solves that is storage. And storage today exists in the form of lithium iron phosphate batteries as the most robust solution on a distributed scale, where everybody who has a battery and some form of renewable energy can take advantage of the full system potential while simultaneously stabilizing the grid. We're going to see, over the next 5 to 10 years, the adoption of these battery systems in homes. And when we realize its full potential, we will have stabilized the grid on our own, and we've also been able to reap the benefits individually.
So as integrators, we'll end up saving the planet because we'll sell smart systems to the clients that are building the new houses.
And that's what that's what
why
a
we're in the
smart home
business.
is supposed to be
Thanks,
here.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Doing the work of the people.
I do want to make a distinction back to the power plant, because
Yes.
as Mark talks about talking about these larger concepts, one of the things that we talk to integrators, and when we talk about power plants, it's not just adding this to your business. It's more a concept of you're already doing this and should be thinking about it in a different way.
Yeah.
You provide things every day on every job you do that you don't ask the customer. Do you typically offer an option to remove the rack in the AV closet? I know it's expensive, but we can put that on bricks. It'll be fine. I just need airflow. You don't. You provide that. You provide all the power connections. You need to provide clean power to that. That's the beginning of a power plant. And you just need to expand that concept as integrators, and then they get it. I'm protecting all the equipment in here. There's things, little microchips in all this equipment in this rack that are really important to you and cost a lot of money. Those same microchips exist all over your house. Shouldn't we protect it all? And now you start to have that. It's not about proposing things that they don't need or want or are luxuries. It's about talking to them about what is important for them to enjoy their home.
Just like the home network became a critical component of our systems 20 years ago or so, this is a critical component of our systems. And if an integrator is not offering some form of power protection in a home, they're making a critical mistake at that point.
What are they doing?
What are they doing? You know what they're doing? They're having service calls.
Bingo.
They have pissed off clients.
You're right. We could talk power all day long.
Let's do it.
It's like one of
That's
our
my
most.
job,
Yes,
Ryan.
just keep going. No, we are running out of time for this Cinegration Station episode about power plans. Mark and Michael, thank you for being here. Before we sign off, I want you guys maybe just to put a quick note out. What could somebody do right now to make their home a little bit safer? Like they could do pretty quick, from a power perspective. Putting you on the spot, but maybe you could come up with a nice little thing to leave people off with.
Call Cinegration
Oh, best answer.
and tell them that you need some sort of power protection and or delivery because it's the most important thing in your home. Nothing works without it.
That is perfect. Michael, do you have anything?
And then just when you speak to them, ask for Mike and Mark to come out and be on that job site. We'll walk it, figure it out. We'd be happy to look at all of this with you and anybody else and start talking about this.
It's perfect. It's hire professionals is the general theme I'm getting.
Bingo.
We hire professionals. You guys come out to help us.
Yep.
And
No, you're absolutely right. This is a professional matter. Don't do your own electric at your own house.
Give it a whirl.
Thank you for listening to the Cinegration Station. This is your conductor, Ryan,
AJ,
and our special guests.
Michael?
And Mark.
Thank you. Have a
All
good
right.
one.
Thank you.
guys.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Clean power is essential and important. It might be time to reevaluate your own home. Well, that is all the time we have today. You've been listening to the Cinegration Station with your conductors Ryan and AJ. You can find the podcast on every major platform: Amazon, Anchor, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and YouTube. Please go like and subscribe, leave a comment or question, and share with a friend. And until next time, stay smart.